Hi everyone. I want to have a little talk, especially towards men and the masculine, and men who think that they're men, but they're really not in that state yet. I did a video recently called Oral Devotion, a blowjob for a God. And that really brought up a lot of interesting comments from men who I think are very divine in their divine masculine, who really appreciated that and took that to heart and opened their heart and their minds to what I said. And then I had comments from boys, and these boys can be 50 or 30, or it doesn't matter the age, they're still in their boy phase. And there's something that I feel is happening energetically with the feminine and masculine. I feel like in the world, in the collective consciousness, and then especially also in the spiritual community, we come to the understanding, yes, that the divine feminine is rising, that it's we're freeing ourselves, the divine feminine, from the cages and the trauma of everything that happened in this old paradigm of the dark masculine ruling of us and suppression. But what happened was, in my view of the energetic exchange that's happening, is that people have moved too fast. They kind of jumped a few stages and moved too fast from, okay, we're understanding that there's been trauma for the divine masculine, the divine feminine. The divine feminine is rising right now. But then they jumped all the way to this stage of like, but the divine masculine is also, but boys also need attention and look at me, like the little boy is like, the wounded little boy is like, look at me too, because I get that, and that's true. And we need that stage. We need to understand that the divine masculine has been suppressed just as much as the divine feminine in different ways. But there's no compassion from the masculine. There's not enough compassion. We skip that stage. And I feel like it's detrimental for us that we did that. We skipped that stage of like, really, let's take a moment to acknowledge what the divine feminine had to go through and still is going through in this matrix reality of the dark masculine. Let's take a moment to acknowledge the pain and suffering and fear that the feminine is still holding from and towards the masculine. Let's take a minute. Let's acknowledge that with pure love and pure heart. There is so much trauma, and men and women today are, especially in the spiritual community, they're trying to jump way too fast to that place of like, we're equals. We're all being suppressed together and we're all this. That's well and fine. There is time for that. But we skipped this phase of really acknowledging it. And what happens is that awakens the trauma even more to the feminine, because the feminine doesn't feel safe. We don't feel safe in this container right now, because it's like, yeah, you say that you say that you're acknowledging our trauma and our fear and everything, but we're not really living it. Like, I'm not really feeling safe here right now. I'm not really having the space to heal and evolve from my trauma and my pain as a feminine creature. So to all you little boys who are not connected to your heart, when I say things like worshiping the pussy, worshiping the goddess, giving her sexually more, that's going to trigger you. Because you want the attention first, you want it all. But let's remember, like, for example, there is a practice that I teach in my sex priestess program, and it's just called pussy gazing. And then there are other practices of which a man is there to just give pleasure to the woman without receiving anything in return. I'm not saying that that's everything. I'm saying it's a phase, it's a practice that must be learned, and it really connects the divine feminine and masculine more. It creates a better sacred union. It heals the feminine and it heals the masculine. So a man would come to this with an open heart and say, I acknowledge the fact that this little area in the woman's body, the clitoris, has been so demonized, and even in many places today in the world, little girls have their clitoris still cut, and when they're big girls, it's and yes, that's happening to boys too. I am aware of that, but we're talking about the feminine now. We're talking about so much trauma and shame and guilt and fear that men cannot even begin to grasp. So all I am asking the masculine is a little bit of compassion and acknowledgement and some space to allow the acknowledgement of that for the feminine. And once we have that, we can move on more whole to that state and that phase of, we have both been suppressed, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and we understand in the different ways that we've been suppressed. We can acknowledge each other, we can understand each other, we can respect each other, and we can create a sacred union. So I just really, I hope that this gets inside your heart, what I'm saying right now. I really do. Because as long as the feminine does not feel safe and contained in this reality, no man will, and no child will, and no animal will. This is crucial. And we need more men with an open heart, who are mature, who are conscious, who understand what I'm saying, who understand this, who can look at a woman, even if she's wounded, even if she's sad, and really appreciate and understand that very deep pain that we're carrying in our body, whether we are aware of it or not. I'm not saying women are perfect. I'm not saying men are perfect. I'm saying we need to acknowledge each other's journey and pain and give space to this rising to happen. Because I can promise you, I've seen a world where the divine feminine is worshipped. And where the divine feminine, I'm not saying the feminine, I'm not saying women, I'm saying the divine feminine, not the shadow feminine, not that aspect, the divine goddess. In a world where she is worshipped, men are kings and they are in their full power. It's a win-win situation. In a world where men are worshipped, where the masculine is worshipped, everyone loses. Everyone loses. And if you cannot acknowledge that, there's nothing I can do for you. If you cannot see that, then there is a lot more work you need to do in your spiritual journey to connect to your divine feminine or masculine. So yeah, there's so much more to say, but I just really wanted to touch base on that. And it's really important, especially in the spiritual community, because there's so much BS in the spiritual community. And that's where we need to have more truth and more conscious conversations about this. And not be afraid to talk about it. Because women, a lot of women they don't want to talk about this. They feel this, what I'm saying, but they want to seem like the cool girl, and they want to, they want guys to like them, and they don't want to, oh yeah, men, we have to understand their pain. Yes, we have to understand their pain. Abso-fucking-lutely. But don't skip this part of ignoring your own pain and trauma. Because again, if you are as a woman do not feel safe in this reality, fully safe to express your full divine feminine, power, essence, sexuality, freedom, expression of voice, everything, those men that you worry about so much, they will not be free, and they will not be able to express that as well. So I hope this gives you something to feel, not to even think about, because it's more to feel and to open your heart. And I love you. I'm a priestess of the temple. I am a servant of the mother. And I pray for divine sacred unions across the planet. Thank you.